Can you talk a little about the invincibility in the contrast in the step 5 and focusing more on that instead of the taking you back to step 1, and maybe there's something you can offer us to be there more often? I mean, I know the meditation you say is the most powerful way to flow pure source through you, and I do that every day.
Well, there are two ways to know how you're doing. One is by how you're feeling, and the other is by how it's turning out. It's just sort of that way. And so just pay attention. If you're thinking and feeling on purpose and then noticing the results, that's all you need. In the early days, after Esther had a somewhat grasp of law of attraction and her deliberate thought within it, when something wonderful would happen, she would say, "I did that." And then when something not so wonderful would happen, she would say, "I did that too." Because there's some satisfaction in accepting your absolute part in whatever is coming to you. We liked your description of that wonderful experience of nature and the beauty of it. And Esther's finding herself actually speaking the words in those moments when she is seeing beauty. This is what feasting my eyes means. Staying with the deliberate intent. I saw it and I liked it, and I stayed longer to savor it. And when you feast your eyes, then the momentum allows you to see broader and deeper and more clearly, until you are literally looking at whatever you're looking at through the eyes of source. You have the capacity to do that, but you've got to teach yourself the capacity to do that. As you accept that you are an extension of source, then you have more satisfying moments as the extension of source. But as you have taught yourself that you're separate from source, and that source is achieved in something that you have not, and then you put yourself in that position that you need to achieve, so you're in that lackful place, then you can't find satisfaction. In other words, this knowledge of how it all fits together is so helpful. And now you have it. And so now it's just about romping through life and acknowledging and enjoying your never-ending expansion on a myriad of topics in every single day.
It's so amazing to finally be at that place in my life where I've unlearned all the crap to get to where the deeper stuff is. And these teachings are amazing.
Well, we agree with you, but we like the crap too. Because in what you're calling a variety of unwanted experiences, you're also giving birth to newer, more intentional creation. And that, what you are calling crap, is responsible for your expansion. Just don't spend so much time justifying why you're there or explaining how you got there, or anytime you're defending or justifying or even explaining, you're holding yourself in the vibration that doesn't allow you the solution that's on the other side of that. So it's about being more deliberate about it. What you intended was to spend about 10% of your time in step 1 and 90% of your time in the savoring receptive mode. And most humans have that flipped, if even that. They spend the majority of their time. We understand it's logical because you're so good at interpreting vibration through your eyes and ears and nose and tongue and fingertips. You're so good at translating vibration into what you call reality that to do less than that seems like stepping back. But when you understand the full picture, and you are less eager to translate everything through your physical senses, and you use your solar plexus more, and you care more about how you feel, and you tune to your vibrational reality, to your vortex, which you often can't see or hear or smell or taste or touch. You just tune yourself to it by tuning everything else out, by listening to the sound in the room. Then, as you begin tuning into it without resistance, then there's so much more for you to know. You see, for a while we were teasing you. We weren't teasing you. We were compelling you. We were asking you. We were wanting to fan the flames of your interest. We did a pretty good job of helping you to understand the existence of this vibrational reality, even though you can't see it or hear it or smell it or taste it or touch it. Many of you accepted its existence. And then we said to you, go into the vortex, go in there where all of that is. Well, that's our way of saying tune to what's there so that it can, through your perception, be realized by you. Your inner being is revealing to you at all times the path of least resistance, the way to get to everything that you want, and the way to have a glorious journey along the way. So the revelation is never ending, but the reception is necessary. You have to realize it. So you've got to tune to it in order to realize it. And when you're not tuned to it, you think it's not being revealed to you. And the more you think something that you want isn't being revealed to you, then the less worthy you feel. And the less worthy you feel, the less tuned to it you are. So it's sort of a vicious cycle that holds you apart from what you want. But now you have the knowledge of its existence. And now you know that you're going to feel for it. You're not going to see it. You're not going to look into your vortex and have a clear picture of everything you want to do. Sometimes people come to us really wanting a fortune teller. They really want someone to tell them how to get right to where they want to go. A woman on the telephone some years ago, when Esther was still doing telephone consultations with us, was so wanting us to just tell her fortune and plot out a direct route to everything that she wanted. And she didn't appreciate the fact that we were wanting to teach her how to create her own reality. And so finally, near the end of the conversation, when she had had no satisfaction from us because she couldn't hear what we were saying because we weren't putting it into the words that she wanted to hear, we said, well, let's talk about some other things then. And she said, like what? And we said, let's talk about blue glass for a little while. And she said, what? We said, let's talk about blue glass. Why? Well, there are a lot of different blue glasses, different textures, different shades of blue. Some you can see through, some you can't. Why would I want to talk about blue glass? Because you don't have a lot of resistance about blue glass in your vibration, or interest either, she is saying. Why am I talking about blue glass? So then we said, well, then let's talk about something else. Let's talk about butterflies. Why? There are a lot of different butterflies, all different sizes, all different colors. They come from all parts of the world. She wasn't having any of it. And then we said, well, then let's talk about feathers. She didn't like that either. She hung up. Esther went to get Jerry and said, this lady was not happy. Jerry said, why? Because Abraham would not tell her fortune. Abraham would not tell her what was coming and tell her where to go and where to go and where to go. Abraham was trying to teach her about the laws. She didn't want to know about them. So then Jerry and Esther left their hotel room. They were in San Diego. They were on their way to La Jolla to have lunch at their favorite restaurant. And as they got out of the car, Esther felt such an impulse to go into a store. So she went in. She dragged Jerry in. That's not uncommon, but in they went. And in the back of the store was a wall of blue glass, ceiling to floor, wall of blue glass. Well, Esther didn't make anything of it because she wasn't recalling the conversation and Jerry hadn't heard it. So Esther didn't think anything about it except that, oh wow, look at all this blue glass. And so then Jerry said, let's go eat. So they went and they had lunch, and then they decided to go down to the cove, down to the water, and they walked across this big expanse of grass. It's really beautiful. And as they were walking across the grass, a flurry of butterflies surrounded them with such intensity that they had to stop talking so that they didn't eat butterflies. Still, Esther's not thinking about it. She's not thinking about these three subjects that had been activated in her vibration. And then, once they made their way through the flurry of butterflies, a little boy, who they did not know, came running from across the way, looking at Esther. And Jerry said, I think he thinks he knows you. And Esther said, I know. And the little boy walked right up to Esther and handed her a feather. And in that moment, Esther remembered the conversation about the blue glass and the butterflies and the feathers. And she said to Jerry, Anytime we have anything active in our vibration with no resistance, the universe will find a way to deliver it to us, and to deliver it fast. And in this situation, all within a very, very, very short period of time. There's so much that you've asked for over time, and some you're ready for now and some you're not ready for now, but anything that you're ready for now is going to come into your experience. And when you meditate and quiet your mind, you're ready for most of it. You see, you're ready for most of it to begin showing its way to you. You might not be ready for the full exposure of it. You might not believe enough in yourself yet. You might only believe in a feather or a blue glass or a butterfly. But the more you have these thoughts come into your mind, and the more then the universe delivers them to you in fuller and fuller fashion, the more you come to accept that you are not alone in this, and that you have all of this backup, and that you are loved, and that you are guided, and that you can be or do or have anything. It's just a matter of being in the vibrational frequency that allows it. And it doesn't take too much allowing of things that are easy before you can allow anything, even the things that you have formerly deemed difficult. And the reason that it's former belief in the difficulty is because you haven't thought about the difficulty of anything for so long that nothing seems difficult. That's where that feeling of invincibility comes. You just come to expect that if this time-space reality can inspire a desire within you, that in the time that you give, it can deliver it to you. And the time sequence is not a prescribed recipe assigned to all. It's just your individual willingness to accept the goodness to you. The sooner you are willing to accept your worthiness, the sooner you are able to accept that source is flowing with you, then the more things will be satisfying the more of the time. And we like it when you get there, because you're not ever going to get to the end of anything. You really have to reach the place where you're satisfied with where you are. Listen to this, it's profound, because it's where you are. You got to be satisfied with where you are. You got to find a way of making where you are okay, which means you've got to deactivate the thoughts about it that make you think that it isn't okay. And when you deactivate that, then the universe just yields to you profusely the details that you've been putting into the vortex all along. You are not puppets on a string, because you put every request there. You do the majority of your thinking as you're sifting and sorting through contrast. Oh, what did we just say? It makes that contrast, that step one, pretty important, doesn't it? If the contrast is where you do most of your evaluating and thinking and comparing and deciding, don't you want to be in that phase? Don't you want to choose for you what you want? Don't you want to choose love over hate? And don't you want to choose happy over sad? Don't you want to choose good tasting food over bad tasting food? Don't you want to choose pleasant people to be with over unpleasant people to be with? Don't you want to make all of those choices? Well, you're making those choices, but mostly in a step one mode. That's why step 5 matters so much. You got to love yourself when you're making those choices. But you don't want to always be thinking and evaluating. If you are always asking the question, do you know you will never receive the answer? Because the vibration of the question and the vibration of the answer are different frequencies. If you're always churning in the problem, do you know the solution will never be received by you, even though it's being revealed to you? Because the frequency of the problem is different than the frequency of the solution, so you can't get there from there. But when you say, oh, I think I'll give myself a break, I think I'm just going to go set 15 minutes aside and just quiet my mind, quiet all thought, and then push the reset button and let my inner being rebirth me. Start again just like I did when I first came. Pure positive energy and eager about life. Oh, you're going to be so obnoxious. People around you will say, what's gotten into you? And you'll say, me. I'm full of myself.